Today, we're wrapping up our series called Breathing Room, and as we've been working through this series, there's been a definition that I've shared each week, and I want to share it one more time because it's so central to what we're talking about. Breathing room is the space between our current pace and our limits. Every one of us has a limit to how hard and fast we can work. There's a limit to our bandwidth, and breathing room is that space between the pace at which we are living and engaging in various aspects of our life and that bandwidth limit, that place where if we hit it, we're redlining. Our engines are running too hot and we can potentially burn out and cause damage to ourselves and to our health and to those that we love. Over the course of the past few weeks, we've talked about the need for breathing room when it comes to our schedules, for breathing room when it comes to our finances, so that as we move through life, we've got a little bit of space, so that, every traffic jam, every Ironman biker, everything that we run into doesn't cause us to get frustrated because we're so pressed for time that we don't know that we're so pressed for time that we don't have any room for that. Or we get so pressed and stretched financially that when something hits unexpected, it causes us to really feel stress and pressure because we weren't ready or prepared for it. We need to have some breathing room in those areas. Today, I saved this topic for last because I think it's the most important topic. Today, we're going to talk about breathing room as it relates to relationships and what it means for us in our relationships. I believe that that's the most important thing we have in this life, are the relationships, the people that we're close to. And if we're not careful, the lack of breathing room when it comes to relationships can cause more harm and more damage than anything we've talked about so far. I want to begin by telling you a story that took place when I was a freshman in high school. And I am very aware that my youngest son is the very age I was when this story happened. I am hoping that he does not follow in my footsteps when it comes to this story. When I was a freshman in high school, I went to Edmond Memorial High School in Edmond, Oklahoma, and they had a college preparatory program, for lack of a better description. They were really encouraging kids to go to college, and I expected to go to college and wanted to go to college. My siblings, we were first-generation college kids, and we really wanted to get there. And so we were following every recommendation we could. And one of the recommendations was that you take 2 years of foreign language so that you could beef up your college application. I was not excited about that. I did not want to do that, but I knew that I had to do that, so I decided I was going to get out of the way. They had multiple options. I chose Spanish. Why? I really have no idea. I said, Spanish sounds good. Let's do that one. So everything was going fine. There were no concerns, no worries. It was just another class. But about halfway through the year, one of my friends came up to me and he said, "Hey, I've cracked the code. I know what's going to be on every test. And I know a way that you can get those answers into the room during every test where you will not be caught and you can do well. Would you like to know more?" I said, no, I'm good. I don't need to do that. I'm doing fine. Things are going okay. Good on you. I'm out. Well, then life got busy. I was in drama. I was in sports. I was in student government. I was just doing all kinds of stuff. And there came a test that I was not ready for. And so I went and I found my friend and I said, "Hey, can you set me up?" And he said, "Yeah. Here's how you do it." And so I went in that day, and I did what he said, and without any preparation at all, got an A on my test. I was like, that's the last time I'm doing that. I'm not doing that again. That's it. I just needed this one time. I'm not doing it again. I'm out. A few weeks went, studied, everything went okay, and then I got busy again, and I was like, well, what's one more time? I mean, everybody else is doing it. If I don't do it, I might actually be at a disadvantage. I got to keep up. So just one more time. I'm just going to do it one more time. I did it one more time. And then I did it another time. And then I did it another time. And then I did it pretty much every test between then and the end of the year. I didn't even give it much thought. I wasn't thinking about it anymore. My friends were doing it. My buddies were doing it. It was happening all the time. Nobody was getting caught. What's the harm, right? So that's what I did. And everything was fine. And I really didn't worry about it. And then I became a sophomore. And I started Spanish 2. And the first part of, you see where the story's going, don't you? You're smart people. Okay? So I start Spanish 2, and the first part of Spanish 2 is a review of everything you learned in Spanish 1. And some of it is testing, written testing. And what we discovered very quickly was that the system we had in Spanish 1 was no longer applicable for Spanish 2. It did not work. Second thing we learned is a big part of Spanish 2 was verbal quizzes and interaction. And Senora Bowerman took this very seriously. Needless to say, I did not do well. I did not just do not well. I failed every quiz, every test, every verbal encounter, every exercise that we did. I was not doing well at all. Why? Because I did not know Spanish. I didn't know the language at all. And so I'm in this position where now I'm way behind. And so I am now working to pass that class. I am working harder in that class than I was working in any other class. Twice as hard. And I barely passed. It's the lowest grade on my high school transcript is Spanish 2. And I barely got out of it. Listen, I'm embarrassed by that story. I don't like that story. I wish it wasn't a story that I could tell you. I hope my children never follow in my footsteps in that story, and I hope any of you teenagers, particularly freshmen in high school who are listening to that story, don't follow in my footsteps. It is not the right path. It is not the place that you need to go because it won't help you and it won't prepare you. This is what I learned in that experience. Cheaters never win. Now, I know you may be thinking, well, sometimes cheaters win because I've seen them. I've seen people play the system and game the system and do this and do that, and they get ahead. And sometimes it looks like people are doing that, but I'm telling you, behind the scenes, there's stuff going on inside of them. There's stuff going on around them. Cheaters never win. It catches up with them. It hurts them. And in the end, it isn't worth it. From that point on, I never cheated again. I didn't cheat on an assignment. I didn't cheat on a test. I didn't cheat on any other academic work throughout high school, and I didn't cheat on anything through college. I was not the smartest kid in the class, but I was the hardest working kid in the class, and I worked as hard as I could possibly work, and I did it with integrity, and I did it with honesty, and it ended up getting me a full tuition scholarship to Yale University for my master's degree. And I'm here to tell you that if I had cheated to do well enough to get into Yale University, I would not have been prepared for that curriculum, and Yale would have chewed me up and spit me out. Because you don't cheat your way through that school. I'd already learned my lesson. You may think you're getting ahead when you're cheating, but really what's happening is you're setting yourself up for failure. There's no shortcuts when it comes to really getting where you want to be in the way that you want to get there. I learned that lesson in Spanish, and it helped me. Now, I love my time at Yale. It was a great experience for me. It was a great education for me. But the best thing that happened to me at Yale was that I met my wife. And as we met and fell in love and experienced that shared journey together, we had some really wonderful mentors. People who worked with us and talked with us about what it was going to mean to be a married couple, and in particular what it was going to mean to be a clergy couple. Because divorce rates and marital strife rates among clergy couples tend to be above the national average because of the way jobs work and the pressures of those jobs and what happens. So they spent a lot of time with us talking about the fact that if we don't make each other the focus of our lives, if we don't do that, then our relationship is going to suffer. It's not going to grow the way we want it to grow. And if we're not careful, we could find ourselves growing apart. They made an added point to say that this is doubly true if you have children. If you bring children into your life through birth or adoption or fostering or whatever, if you bring them into your household and you're not careful with the way that you spend your time making that a priority, there's going to be consequences for that. You've got to make sure that in spite of the busyness of the schedule, in spite of the important work that you guys are setting out to do, to make sure that that work doesn't cause damage to you and your family. Now, for the most part, throughout our relationship, we've done pretty well. And there's been some seasons where we've done really well, and there's been some seasons where we have not done well. There's been some seasons where work has absolutely gotten the best of us. And we have bought into work, and we've gotten sucked into some things that really pulled us away from each other and family. And look, that's going to happen. There are seasons in life when that happens. And so we've had some hard times, and we've had some times that were okay. My guess is the same is true for you. And I know that we're not the only people who work hard. You know, Gallup did a poll not long ago, just a few years ago, where they wanted to get an average of how many hours the full-time worker in America was working. They discovered that the average full-time American worker puts in 47 hours a week at his or her job. That's the average, is 47 hours a week. So we got people well north of that and people south of that, right? 47 hours. You know what 47 hours is? 1 hour short of 6 8-hour days. That's what 47 hours is. You think 47 hours, that's not a big deal. That's just an extra hour here or there. No, that's a full extra day of work that we're putting in, because that's what I think some of us think that's what we're supposed to do. Some of us wear it as a badge of honor, right? 47 hours, that's the average. The problem is when we go to work and we work 47 hours a week, or we work 57 hours a week, or we work 67 hours a week. Can I get an amen? Mm-hmm. You've been there. I've been there too. Problem is, when we get there, if we stay there for more than just a season, guess what happens to our relationships? Our relationships start to suffer. And here's the thing. Here's what I've told myself, and maybe you've told yourself the same thing. I'm gonna trade. I know I got to work really hard right now, but I'm going to trade this time later. And later, I'm going to make it up to you. I have said these words. After Easter, I'm going to make it up to you. After Christmas, I'm going to make it up to you. Maybe some of you have said, after April 15th, I'm going to make it up to you. After this project at work, I'm going to make it up to you. After we finish this building, I'm going to make it up to you. After we get through this season or that season, I'm going to make it up to you. I know this is a really busy time, but right now I got to do these things, and it's got to happen. And so I'm going to work really hard now, but I promise when we get here, I'm going to make it up to you. And we convince ourselves that we can trade the time we lost here for equal time later. We're fooling ourselves. And this is why I say that. Yeah, you may be able to make up for the hours. But here's what you can't make up for. You can't go back in time and catch that concert you missed. You can't go back in time and catch that school project. You can't go back in time and catch that game or that anniversary, yours or your best friends or your parents or your sisters or your brothers. You can't go back and catch those moments that were specific moments on a specific day that happened for a specific purpose for a very special person in your life. You can't trade that for time later, because that moment's not there. And so you may think that you're going to trade it later, but you're not. You're not trading time. You know what you're doing? You're cheating time. And you're cheating your family of that time. And cheaters never win. Cheaters never win. And here's what I've experienced when I've done this in my own life. It's the same thing that happens to me in my relationship with my boys and with my wife. When I cheat my time with them. Just like what happened in Spanish, when I try to make up that time, I don't speak their language anymore. I don't speak their language anymore. I don't know the important things that are going on in their life. I don't know the minor things that are going on in their life. I don't know the activities that they've been doing and the friends they've been hanging out with and the stuff that's been going on because I was cheating. I was cheating and I wasn't learning the language and I wasn't investing the time because a good foreign language student knows that languages build on it and you got to build on it, and good relationships build on one another. And when you think you're going to trade your time, you're cheating your time because you're not building your language. And then you get together and you want to make up for that lost time and you think, I don't even know how to talk to you because I don't speak your language anymore. You see, we're not trading time, we're cheating time, and cheaters never win. And it isn't just about the time that we spend away, it's about the time we spend with the people that we love, but because we're so busy and we're so distracted that even when we're sitting right next to them, we're not with them. Have you ever been there? Have you ever caught yourself sitting at a concert or a game and drafting an email? Have you ever found yourself excusing a conversation with a close friend or a family member because you got to respond to a text real quick that's work-related? Have you ever found yourself, even if you're there and nothing else is going on, you're so tired because you worked 47 or 57 or 67 hours a week that finally you've sat down to spend some time together and make up that time together, and you're so tired that no matter how hard you try, you just can't invest. You're just not there. Well, the reason is because you're not trading time, you're cheating time. And when you've been cheating time, it's hard to suddenly make it work, to make it happen, and to figure it out. It's difficult. I get it. Look, I'm a driven guy. I always have been. I set goals. I work hard for goals. Heaven help the person who gets in the way of me and my goals. I win. I don't like to lose. I know what it means to work hard. I put my nose to the grindstone, and when I got a project, I like it. There's nothing I like more than overcoming a challenge and working hard to make something happen, and I care about it, and I'm invested in it, and I want to do it. Those things matter to me. Maybe they matter to you. Not long after we had moved to Louisville, I was having a conversation with Carrie, and we'd moved into a home, and we had our kids, and we were kind of settling into life, right? It was Carrie and I and 2 kids and some kind of pet. And everything was going okay, and we were just kind of on the life treadmill. And I remember I said to her, I feel like we need to set a family goal. I feel like we need to be working on something. Because I feel like we're just standing still, and we need to work on something. Like, where are we going? And what's it going to take for us to get there? What are our goals as a family? And what do we want to do? And who do we want to be? And where do we want our lives to go and our family to go? I think we need a goal. And Carrie looked at me and she said, when is it that we stop chasing goals and start realizing that we've already accomplished a goal that we've been working so hard for? When is it that we stop working or chasing towards a lifestyle or a goal or a place that we need to be? When is it that we stop chasing life and start living life? When is it that we finally decide that this is enough? And we're not going to chase things that may or may not add to our life, but we're going to focus on the things that we know add to our life. Man, that hit me hard. And it was tough. Because I'm a guy that likes goals and likes drive and likes to move. And yet, here's my spouse saying, man, we've made it. We're living. Why can't we be thankful and build on that? She's right. What are we chasing? What are we working so hard for? Whether it's our vocations or whether it's the volunteer work we do in the community or the things we're trying to do for others that we care about. Look, I get it. We got to work. We got to. I understand that. And I understand there are going to be seasons in every one of our lives that are going to stretch us and push us and pull us, and they're going to get us away from the things that are most important in our family and our friends and those relationships that we can't change. I get that. But if we let that not just be a season but become the norm, we're in trouble. So what does it look like for us to make sure that we've got some breathing room? Because this is kind of the bottom line about this. You can create all the breathing room you want in your schedule. You can create all the breathing room you want in your finances. The question is, once you create that breathing room, what are you going to put in that space? And if you're not putting in that space what's most important, then it's just empty space. Why are you doing it? I'd argue that the most important thing that belongs there are the people that you care about. And here's a truth that may be difficult to hear. When it comes to your jobs, your professions, your vocations, your volunteer work, you're replaceable. You're a commodity. Doesn't mean you're not valuable. Doesn't mean you don't matter. Look, I love this church. I love my job. I love what I do. But there are other pastors out there that can do my job, and there's some that can do it better. I am not providing you with a list. But they're out there, right? I am replaceable in this job. You are replaceable in yours. You know where I'm not replaceable? You know what the jobs are that only I can do? Mr. Carey. I'm the only one that can do that job. Dad. I'm the only one that can do that job. Yeah, you can say, Dad's gone, he's gone. Can you go ahead and come because Brian can't make that event? Can you be my +1? Yeah, you can be Carrie's +1. You can be my kids, a guest at their day at school. You can do those things, and you can be there, and it'll mean the world to them. But you're not me. Because see, for them, I'm irreplaceable. I'm the only one that can do that job. And so why is it that sometimes I spend so much time sacrificing that unique role that no one else can fill for a role that I promise you someone could fill within a matter of weeks? And this place keeps on going the way it's been going since the mid-1800s. Right? This is important stuff. There's a Bible passage that I think about every time I think about family. I think about the people that are important, and we've talked about it a lot. It's part of what they call the household codes, and it's this lesson in Scripture where we're going to teach you how to be a household of faith. We're going to teach you what it looks like to be a Christian person in the midst of relationships. And the household code in Ephesians begins with words that we would do well to always remember. We've talked about them here so many times. Submit to one another out of reverence of Christ. When I talk about submit, I don't mean submit in the terms of servitude. I mean submit in the terms of importance. Submit in understanding where it is that you place your priorities. Because we have choices to make when it comes to our lives. Are we going to submit to our vocations and our work and our goals and the busyness and the schedules and the work and the things we want to own and buy? Are we going to submit to those things? Or are we going to submit to our spouses and our partners and our families and our parents and our kids and our best friends? Which one are we going to submit to? What Paul is saying to the people in Ephesus, and what I believe Scripture is saying to us right now, is we need to choose which one we're going to submit to. And if we want to live lives in following the one who taught us how to live in love, to sacrifice ourselves for others, it means we submit our lives first and foremost to the people for whom we have unique roles and no one can replace us. That's where we start. Have you guys ever heard of the blue zones? So blue zones, there's 5 blue zones throughout the world. And these blue zones, people in those zones, they live longer and healthier than anywhere else in the world, often into their hundreds. And when they live into their hundreds, they're still active. The only one in the United States is in Loma Linda, California. After the first service, someone came up to me and said, "Hey, do you know what Loma Linda means?" And I said, "No." And they said, "That's because you cheated in Spanish." And I was like, very nicely done. That was so good. I did not see that coming. That was great. That was really, really good. So Loma Linda is one of them, and there's some others throughout the world. What they've discovered is there's some habits that help these people live long and vibrant lives, right? They include physical activity. They include primarily a plant-based diet, 95% or above plant-based. They include herbal teas and herbal medicines. They include very moderate drinking, particularly a wine from certain areas where the grapes get this really high oxygen level. They include all those things. But they also include relationships. And here's what the study has shown. That more than exercise and diet combined, the thing that matters most in ensuring a life of longevity and vitality is close relationships. Close and meaningful relationships have greater efficacy in the vitality and the length of your life than your diet and your exercise, according to what they're looking at in these blue zone things. Now, I don't know the science well enough to know how much that is true, but that really got my attention, right? You know the medicine of good friendship. You know the medicine of good family. You know what it's like. There's nothing like it in the world. Look, as we leave this series behind, I just really want to invite you not just to make breathing room, but to make breathing room for all the right reasons. You've got relationships in your life that matter. They may look different than the relationships that other people have, but they matter. Don't cheat those things. Don't cheat them. Don't think you can borrow time and pay it back later. Learn the language. And the language is love. Spend some time in it. Let it grow. And I promise you, it'll be worth every effort you make. Amen.